I really, you know, it's something that's really important to me, and an important part of like this show, and the work that we're trying to do here. Um, because like I have roots in Texas and in South Carolina, right? And South Carolina is the state, when you talk to people about unions, they treat it almost as like a foreign concept. It's like it's not for us. And I've always come from a place of like, I have a real serious hope and belief in people, especially people I grew up around, and that like this actually is much closer to a lot of almost like the kind of generic working class person in the South's mentality than a lot of people recognize. Like one thing I remember, like one of my good friends' father, who's a truck driver, sitting around with him drinking and him just going on almost every time he'd have like a couple beers in him, would just go on about, and say, if I stopped driving trucks, the entire country would shut down tomorrow and we could get whatever we want. And I'm just sitting here like, hell yeah, man, that's strike power, right? Um, I bring that up to ask y'all, when you're talking to people in Alabama in your communities and you're trying to talk to them about why being in a union is so important, why workers' power is so important, how do you frame that to folks? How do you, explain why this is such a critical thing and such a thing that's in their interest? When we are dealing with such, nonsense from the opposite side, they try to convince people that, they're much closer to their bosses than their coworkers, things like that.
So, I mean, it's difficult to talk to people that's never been in a union and
Hmm.
explain why this is important because it, like you said, with your growing up in South Carolina, especially, it's a foreign concept. But
Hmm.
the one of the things that I constantly bring up that's easy for people to grasp is, say you go buy a car and and you agree to pay 10,000 for the car at 10% annual
Hmm.
percentage interest, and you don't sign a contract, and you drive the car home, and you've made six payments on it, and all of a sudden the bank says, you know what, we don't want 10% any longer, we want 15, and if you don't like it, bring your car back.
Hmm.
And you've lost all that. It's the same way in your work environment. If you don't get a contract, they can do anything they want at any
Hmm.
time you want. And you have no option other than to, like a lot of these right wing reactionaries say, if you don't like it, go find something better. Well, somebody that's worked 10 or 15 years in a company has invested all this time and all this energy, and truly their labor has built the company to where they are, should have a contract where they know what's guaranteed and what's not. And and with the union, it's not it's a contract that you get to decide what you want and what you don't. The workers get to determine, I want this, I want this, and I want this, and we're not going to do this. And if you don't like it, stick it up your ass. And that's the most powerful thing that collectively that you can do. And so that's kind of, no business entity in the world deals without contracts except for workers, and,
Hmm.
and we do it on a daily basis and risk our lives with for no guarantee,
Hmm.
except for we may let you work tomorrow if you don't smart off to us today.
No, I think
Yeah.
I think that's well put, man. 100%. Unless you had anything to add, Jacob. Um, I want to thank y'all both so much for joining us tonight. I'd hope to be able to do this again sometime.
Yeah, promote the show a little bit, guys.
Yeah, definitely. People should be checking out the Value Labor Report, and yeah, if y'all would like to give everyone a quick pitch as to what it is, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah. Well, to wrap up the discussion, I think something there's a lot of people kind of chomping at the bit to support these workers, and the Southern Worker Assembly they have put together a bunch of solidarity rallies on Saturday all across the country.
Mm.
There's now like 40 or 50 events that are already scheduled, and so look up the Southern Worker Assembly, find their Twitter page, find their website. and see if there's a rally near you. And if there's not, maybe set one up in front of the Whole Foods or something like that. And if there is one, then, go to it. I think that would, that would be a way that folks, get folks all the time. How can I help? How can I help? That would be a way to help. If they see folks all across the country coming out for them here in Bessemer, Alabama, I think that would be really inspiring for them. And then the show, David and I are both unionists. I'm a member of AFGE. He is president of the local machinist union, and we're on a conservative talk radio station. They've got some paid programming hours on the weekend, so we got some unions, some progressive nonprofits, and a union side law firm in the area to sponsor the show. And so we bought an hour and a half on Saturdays, and so we talk on a conservative talk radio station about
awesome.
yeah it's a lot of fun. We get some interesting callers. There's this one letter carrier who loves his union, but he likes Trump, but we've got another one, thickest Southern drawl that I've ever heard. I was half worried that he was going to berate us the first time that he called. I'm talking about Joe, David, but he's like a 40-year steel worker, and he's given us some good stories. We're just trying to tell folks about the power that they can have through organizing and collective action and stuff. We talk politics some, but mostly, we talk to unionists, we talk to rank and file workers about what they've been going through, and try to keep it at the level of of the workplace. Locally or kind of industrially, and like what they can do to improve their lives. And obviously we'll talk about legislation and stuff sometimes like that, like we just passed our version of the COVID liability protections here in Alabama. But this weekend we're talking to Kenzo Shibata from the Chicago Teachers Union about teachers and reopening. Like I said, at some point we're going to be talking to Dr. Kelly. And so, we have lots of good guests, I think, lots of interesting guests, and, just trying to tell people about the power that they can have through organizing and collective action. So if you're in Huntsville, Saturdays from 9:30 to 11, we're on 92.5 FM, 770 AM. If you're in Russellville, we're on 100.7 FM on Sundays at 8 AM. And if you're not in any of those areas, then you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, at the Valley Labor Report, or at Labor Reporters on Twitter. If you are in Huntsville, turn the knob as soon as we go off, because everything else on that station is absolute trash. Do not listen to it. But yeah.
That's awesome.
And like any good, Jacob said, we don't cover a lot of politics. Like any good leftist, we bash both sides regularly. So we do cover politics. We don't pimp or simp for any particular side. We generally bash on both sides equally.
Yeah. Well, that sounds about right to me. Well, David and Jacob, thank y'all so much. People definitely check out their channel. Listen to them on the radio if you can. And I'm really looking forward to being able to do this again sometime soon, y'all.
Yep. See you guys.
Hey, thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Take care.